Alright guys, Delzinski here and welcome to another WWE DVD and Blu-ray review. This time we're looking at the title WWE the Destruction of the Shield. And this is a title I've really been looking forward to. I'm a big fan of the Shield when they're around, and I'm a big fan of all three of these superstars. So I couldn't wait to crack this one open and give you my review. Now this title is available from the 9th of March 2015. And you can pick it up in two available formats. You've got the DVD version priced at £19.99, and you've got the Blu-ray version priced at £22.99. And for the purpose of this review, I had the Blu-ray version. And guys, just to let you know, before I do get into the mix of this review, I want to say a shout out to www.dvd.co.uk because they provide me with all my titles to review. So if you like the sound of the destruction of the Shield, check the link in the description box below and you can head over to www.dvd.co.uk and you can put in a pre-order or purchase right about now. So, the destruction of the Shield. Well, when it happened and the Shield fell apart and Seth Rollins turned his back on the brotherhood of Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, I think we were all left in shock. We never saw that coming. I mean, they just toppled Evolution and then it all fell apart. But these three individuals have all gone on from strength to strength since the demise of one of the greatest factions in the WWE. Now, this title goes and looks at the background of how they actually came to meet as part of the Shield, but also what they did prior to coming to the WWE. And that's what I really like about this title, is that it's not just from a WWE perspective. You get to go and see where the likes of Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns came from. So we're talking about the indie scenes when it comes to Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And what's nice is you get to see some footage from Ring of Honor. I didn't expect to see that in there, but WWE have acquired some Ring of Honor footage. And that's exactly where Seth Rollins came from. He came from ROH. Dean Ambrose, he came from CZW. That's more of an insane kind of promotion, so a more extreme promotion. And, well, for Dean Ambrose, it was perfect for him to develop his Lunatic Fringe persona, and obviously he's carried that on with him today. And what was nice to know about these two, because they both came from the indie scenes, was you know, there was one person that was really influential in both of their careers, and his name was Gabe Sapolsky. He was the former co-owner of Ring of Honor, and he also owned Dragon Gate USA, which was another promotion that Dean Ambrose moved into after his time at CZW. So he had a major impact for both, and basically saw a shining star in Ambrose and Rollins. Now, on the other hand, and on the flip side of it, Roman Reigns did not come from the indie scene. And Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose both came into FCW and WWE Developmental from that side. But Roman Reigns was already there training. He came through the development path. So he had a slightly different look at things. But his background, again, is hugely prestigious in terms of wrestling history, because he has that Samoan heritage background. He was also, as well, and what you get to see in this title is he was a former linebacker in American football. And then, obviously, he decided to make the move into professional wrestling. Now, it's really nice to see how they all came along and how they got into the WWE. But what I found interesting from watching this title was that FCW wasn't quite on the map. So everybody knew that down there they were all doing a good job and they were all putting on a good show. But it was guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose who really brought FCW to the forefront. And Florida Championship Wrestling really kind of blew up because of these two. And we get to see some footage throughout the title of their 15-minute and 30-minute time limit matches, and on the special features you get to see the full match of both of those encounters. But that really blew up for FCW, and that then became the monster that is NXT today. So these guys were almost pioneers for the start of the revolution that is NXT. And we get to see how the Shield all progressed through NXT. And you also, it's not all about positives in this. It's not all about, oh, they just, you know, they had a good career on the indie scene. Then they had a good career in NXT and FCW and then WWE. It's not just about that, because you get to understand the personalities more as well. And what I found nice was it wasn't all rosy for these guys. Seth Rollins has a very interesting story where him and I believe it was Terry Taylor never always saw eye to eye. And there was times where Rollins was saying, look, I'm the top guy here in NXT. And you get to see when he was crowned NXT champion. And he was almost saying, when are you going to take me up? When are you going to put me on the main roster? I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And nobody seems to be wanting to help me here. And Terry Taylor almost was telling him the hard facts. You know, you've got to be patient. And I think he kind of makes a reference that Seth Rollins speaks French and everybody else speaks English. And what he was meaning by that was that Seth Rollins believed his own hype so much that he couldn't really listen to anybody else. And that's what's interesting about this conversation, because then it moves to Seth Rollins speaking with Triple H. They come to an understanding. Seth Rollins then agrees to almost not tone down his attitude, but almost rein it in just a little bit to make sure that he didn't make mistakes. He didn't leave the organization, and then ultimately he became the superstar that he is today as part of the Shield. So you get that insight, and that's what I thoroughly enjoyed about this title. It's not always about, you know, the successes, but you get to hear about some of the issues and the trials and tribulations that these guys went through to get where they are today. And I find that's always important when you have these type of documentaries, and the Destruction of the Shield definitely has that. So that for me was a positive to get a real in-depth touch into each individual of the Shield. What's nice as well is obviously we do get to see how the Shield ultimately destroyed the WWE competition when they did hit the main roster from the likes of their debuts and their championship reigns. We talk about Dean Ambrose having his United States Championship reign. We had Rollins and Reigns picking up the Tag Team Championship. And again, you get to go to each individual to understand how they felt at the time by picking up their first WWE Gold. Then, obviously, as well, we had the main moment, which was the feud for me, which I thought was amazing, was Evolution versus the Shield. And it was almost, and Triple H says it on the documentary, it was almost the old guard versus the new guard, or versus the future of the WWE. Almost a passing of the torch, so to speak. And we get to understand how that feud came about, and how the Shield really prepared for that. And all of this title is all in the build-up to SummerSlam, where there were some big matches for the Shield. They're no longer the dispersed Shield, because at that pay-per-view you had Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins from when they actually split up, and as well you had Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. So this is the path and the build-up from that. So you get to see them come into the industry from the indie scenes. You get to see them then move into WWE developmental. Then you got to see how the Shield came together, and then you see them disperse. And then you look at the training camp and the regimes that these guys get to in preparation for their matches at SummerSlam. And I tell you what, I don't envy them one bit, because some of the training regimes that Seth Rollins does, the CrossFit training that he does, is just unreal. So guys, if you like the sound of this title, I thought it was good. I really did enjoy it. I thought some people have said that it wasn't quite in-depth enough. And yeah, I would have liked to have seen a bit more from each individual. Maybe the camera traveling around with them a bit more on the road. But all in all, it was a real good insight into how the Shield works. And you get to understand that deep down, these guys all respect each other. And I believe behind the scenes, they are all very close friends as well. Now, for the special features of the Blu-ray, I'm just going to list a few. You get to see Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns having their NXT debuts. You get the TLC match from 2012. It's a 6-man tag match between The Shield, Ryback, and Team Hell No. You get to see Dean Ambrose capture the US title. You get Rollins and Reigns capturing tag team gold. And as I said, probably one of the little gems in this title, you get to see that 15-minute and that 30-minute match for the FCW Championship between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And as I said, those matches really did spark the revolution that is NXT and how developmental went from strength to strength. So guys, as I said, if you like the sound of this review, then hit the link in the description box below and you can head over to www.dvd.co.uk and put in a pre-order and purchase of The Destruction of the Shield right about now. I really enjoyed this title. For documentaries, I think WWE do a pretty good job. Sometimes they don't have all the info you need, but I liked understanding where these guys came from, and I think it's a credit that WWE did go and seek the footage from Ring of Honor, CZW, and made sure that this was done right, and they did a good job. So guys, this brings me to the end of another WWE DVD and Blu-ray review, and all that's left to be said. Until the next time, this is Delzinski, signing out.